Hi everyone. This is William Wong. I'm one of the tutors for BUS B328F, so entrepreneurship. And this is the video recording for assignment number 2. I just want to share this video clip with you because the assignment is coming up due really hard. I think it's going to be due in the next couple of weeks. So you don't have much time left. This is a group project, so this is not an individual project. If you have any ideas, please do share with your group mates, with your teammates, because this is very important. The very first thing you need to do is to pick up the company that you want to focus on, not just you, but the entire group. Usually in the past, what happened is you see the score from assignment number 1, and students usually pick the highest score to continue the path. But it is not necessary. You can pick anything you want, or even start a new project. But the very key is you need to make sure you talk to me, or at least you talk to the group about this new project, because it has to fulfill all the requirements for the assignment number 2. I.e., if you have any problems or obstacles or any weaknesses in assignment number 1, you better correct that in assignment number 2. So let's say in your assignment number 1, I have discussed with you, written on the paper, comment on your product or your services, about anything that you can improve. Then you need to do that in your assignment number 2. If you believe this new product that you want to introduce, a fresh new product, and to continue that in your assignment number 2, that's fine. You can do that, but make sure that it will has a much less problem or issues, or i.e. that you have resolved that from your previous assignment. So it is better for you to pick some of the existing projects or products or services from your assignment number 1, like one of your team members. That will be the best. So you don't have much time left, probably like 2-3 weeks left. I don't want to disclose to you when I record this video recording, because I don't want to scare you off. Anyway, let's continue. Because before that, I had made a PowerPoint, the actual oral presentation with you, at least some of you, face to face. And I spent over 2 hours to discuss all the details with you. So make sure if some of your group mates or teammates attended the session, ask them what did they know. I will try to squeeze everything down into, like, let's say 30-45 minutes here, and you're able to actually slow it down. I will post that on the YouTube, and you can see the closed caption, so you can see speed up or slow down my entire speech. Anyway, let's get started. So the assignment number 2 is going to be due very soon, and this is actually for 2023. It's going to be due on January 20th. This is a group work. From the time I do the presentation, that's close to 54 days, including the final exam period. But right now, time is actually much less. So let's get started. Again, a very important thing is to check out this particular rubrics. Everything, I don't care if you are in my tutorial group or if you are in other tutorial groups. The rubrics is the marking scheme. You have to follow the marking scheme. If you don't follow the marking scheme, it will be really hard for us, not just for me, but for every other tutors to give you the points. So make sure you understand what's going on with assignment number 2. There are 5 questions. So question number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Actually, not 5, but 4 questions. I'm sorry. It's only 4 questions. The last question is about the legal perspective, and which is more on the overview. The question number 3 is about the financials, the budgets. Question number 2 is about the resources, so capital resources, and also the human resources. And the question number 1 is about rephrasing your idea, i.e., it can be your product or can be your service, the services you propose. So it's more on the product side. So there are 4 questions. The key is in this particular assignment, the good thing is there won't be any sort of the English elements in it. So everything is very, very precise, very, very concise, and very, very accurate, which means that you can prepare all the materials that you have instead of like testing your English skills, your structure, your grammar, and everything. So these 4 questions are very, very specific. The best way to do I have that in the PowerPoint is for you to split it, divide and conquer. We use this strategy. So divided your group of 4 or 5 people into smaller group and to focus on each topic. And make sure you don't cover one topic by one person. Your group should have maybe 2 or 3 people to cover each question, and you guys can back up each other. So each one will cover maybe 1 or 2 questions in this case. Let's go over this real quick, but remember there are 4 questions in here. So the task for question number 1, and I will go through how you can answer this question number 1. All these PowerPoint bullet points are actually retrieved from the rubrics. So it will be very, very, again, very, very precise, accurate, and as long as you can cover all the points here, I think you will be able to get a good score. So again, the best way for you to see if you are able to get all the points is to focus on the accomplished and exemplary column. So the last 2 columns, so 60% to 80%, 80% to 100%. So these 2 columns will cover everything that you need if you want to get a really, really good score. Otherwise, everyone will fall in the average, and then if you're not able to cover the points, then it will be like the last 2 columns. So make sure you do this and check out the last 2 columns, which is the accomplished and also the perfect one. And the PowerPoint here, all the bullet points here are going to cover the last 2 columns, which is the accomplished and the perfect one, exemplary one. All right. For question number 1, we are talking about the products that you have, products or the services, right? So the business model, you have to talk about the business model. So if you have introduced a business model, so let's say 5 people in your group, you pick one of them, and then you pretty much drag the entire assignment number 1 from that person, and then to discuss the business model briefly. You don't need to repeat the entire thing, but to talk about that briefly and see how you can persuade me, or actually the financer, how it is how this is so promising, and how you believe it is so feasible. The key word is feasible here. So you can see feasible here. Why this is a good business, why you believe it can be successful. So this is the key point, especially in the COVID situation. Why do you think this will stand out from all other, let's say, competitors or other business line that you focus on? So make sure you remember the keywords are feasible. Again, this assignment number 2 will include one more element, which is the creativity and problem-solving skills. And this is the key part here. That's sent out from the assignment number 1, because in assignment number 1, you may talk about a product or services. They may have some problem. It is not perfect, and there are some flaw. And in assignment number 2, you are going to show me how you can resolve this problem. So I probably provide you the commentary, what kind of problems or potential threat you will see. And in assignment number 2, you have to discuss how you can resolve this skill. How you can resolve this problem. So show me your techniques, show me your methods to tackle all the problems. I have marked every single one of your projects with the comments I saved in my drive. So whenever you pull in any one of your projects from the group mates, and I will know exactly like what kind of problems they have. And then in the assignment number 2, if you're able to find a feasible solution, if you are able to show me your technical skills, how you can solve the problem, then you got the credit, right? So this is the key. The second one is the resources. And whenever you run a business, there are actually two two things that you need to confirm. Well, actually, three things. The first one is actually the business model, which you talked about that in your previous question. In question number one, you talked about that. And for question number two, we have to focus on three things: the business model. The second one is the human resources. The third one is the capital resources. When I said human resources, which means you need people to run the business. There is no way you can actually start a business fully automated and then generate all the money unless you're doing the investment algo trading. But even with algo trading, you still need a programmer to actually to write the programming code, right? So in this case, any kind of product or service you have, product or services you're going to introduce, you will always involve in the human capital. So which means you have to define the labor, let's say the manager, the labor, even the senior management, like the COO, CEO, right? So think about the human resources, and the best way to do is you show me the timeline, which means that by stage, in the first 3 months or 6 months, how many people you need. 6 months to 9 months, how many people you need, and let's say projected to 1 to 3 years, how many technicians you need, how many manufacturer, the labor, the working labor you need, how many capital you need, well, which means like what kind of machine you need. So those are the human capital. And then on the other hand, besides the human capital, you have to tell me your projections on the financial capital, financial resources. So I just mentioned one of the important element, which is the machine. Machine is sort of in between the human capital and also the financial capital, because when I talk about financial capital, usually it is about money. So in this PowerPoint right here, you can see the financial capital and physical capital is actually combined together. So physical capital will be the property, plants, and equipment, any kind of machines that you need. It could be a vending machine, could be a production machine. And then the financial capital is far more important. It can be because it represents the money that you need to raise for your business. So it can be the money you borrow from your parents, the money it's in your wallet. It can be the money you borrow from the bank. And of course, everyone wants to do the IPO, initial public offering, which means like you're offering shares to the general public. But that's a much later stage. You have to secure some sort of debt financing, which is you borrow from the money you borrow from the banks. And then later on, when you go after you finish up the first round of the bank financing, then you may need to hit up to let's say some venture capitalists, but those are like the later stage. You don't need to learn about this, but in your model, which is the question number 3, then you're going to lay out what kind of financial, let's say the financing you need in a very early stage. So it could be from year 1 to year 3 or year 5. So you need to think about the resources that you need in question number 2. Right. Let me go back to the PowerPoint slide. I'm sorry, the PDF here, the rubrics. So let me just recap question number 1 and also question number 2 here. So question number 1, you see it's a 20% mark for each one. So 20, and then question number 3 is 30, and then question number 4 is 30. So the first 2 questions are lighter in terms of the weight, and in the product and services, you describe the model, and again you have to persuade with me the feasibility and how promising and why you think it is promising. So make sure you cover this particular part, and then the developments, which is another just 10%, half of the score for developments of the idea. That is the key between the differentiator between assignment number 1 and assignment number 2, because you have to show me the improvement. There are actually some students from last year, and they said, hey, can I introduce another like new product, new services, totally out of not from the assignment number 2 from any one of the group members, and that is okay. But then you have to be very precise that in terms of this developments, because you have to show me what kind of obstacles you encountered before, and then what kind of methods or techniques you apply to resolve those problems. And in assignment number 2 here, because there is no way I can see your assignment number 1. You are not going to redo assignment number 1, so everything will start scratch from assignment number 2. For if you decided to choose a brand new product that it has not submitted in assignment number 1. But if you choose the ones from assignment number 1, then I hope you will give me some solutions, the techniques, the methods that you try to resolve this. So this is quite important. But again, it's only 20% for question number 1, very easy going. And for question number 2, I just mentioned that, describe to you the details, the human resources, and also the physical and financial resources. If you want to get a high score, make sure you cover these few bullet points. So make an accurate projections, exactly how you can lay out for the human resources. Again, if you're able to convince me for every single stage of the business, so you are from the startup from 0 to, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and let's say 1 year, 3 year out, that will be the perfect example. But then you have to tell me, like, why you need 100 workers. Is it possible for you to grow that fast? Can your sales support that kind of a workforce, 100 workers? Let's say if you're a technology company, you are trying to develop a software. You tell me that, hey, in 6 months you're going to hire 150 programmers. Now, to be honest with you, it is almost impossible to hire like 150 programmers, because PCCW, one of the biggest technology company here in Hong Kong, cannot even achieve this result in a 6 months of time span. So it is impossible. But if you are able to tell me, hey, I just need like 2 co-programmers, and then lay out the plan, then everything will be credit back to you, and that's very, very possible. But of course, if you're asking the programmers to develop a huge website that can compare to Alibaba or Tencent's mobile League of Legends, that is impossible, because I assume that you are a startup company and you don't have a lot of financial resources. You cannot hire, you cannot give a few $1 million to hire a really experienced programmer to build you like a super website. In this case, then your goal will be set too high, cannot be achieved. So in this case, make sure it's something that is attainable, achievable, and this is what I call feasible, right? So in terms of human resources, make sure you cover this part, and then for the physical and financial resources, make sure it is actually feasible. Again, it's possible. You can tell me, you can ask to borrow from the bank for, let's say, $500,000, let's say even $1 million. Sometimes you are, as a student, you are able to do that if your proposal, your business proposal, is actually quite feasible. But then if you say, hey, I want to borrow from the bank for $100 million, forget it. I mean, no bank is going to lend you that kind of money, right? You are right out from the college and you don't have any background. Unfortunately, this will not be feasible. So you need to tell me, like, what kind of things that you have on hand, how it can bridge the gap, and this is the goal is attainable. Again, attainable, achievable. That is the very, very key for assignment number 1, assignment number 2. So if I flip back to the PowerPoint, which I hit to question number 3. This is the key pretty much for assignment number 2, and I have to emphasize this. If you don't know how to answer question number 2 or question number 4, then you definitely need to finish number 3 first. And actually, if I were you, I would highly recommend you. I would begin you with the question number 3, the budgets, the financials, because this is the key of everything. If you're able to lay out the budgets, which is the financial model, then the question number 2 and question number 4 will be easily answered. Even question number 1, I think if you're able to complete question number 3 first, then question number 1 shouldn't be a problem. So the key is for assignment number 2 is my best guess is to complete the question number 3 first, and then you can actually roll back everything before. So what is the question number 3? Question number 3 in the rubrics here It weighs 30% of the entire paper. And it is about the coverage and completeness, and then the financial feasibility, return, and risk. So there is actually two important components: return and risk. So how are you going to lay out the entire thing with all these words? And I am going to share with you the financial model here. Again, this financial model, anyone can use it. It doesn't matter if this is in my tutorial group or in other tutorial group, but I can pretty much promise you, if you're able to complete this financial model, you're completing like the 80% or even a perfect column, that one, because this particular financial model works out every single items that you need. And I will go from the first one, which is the sources and uses. So what is the meaning of sources and uses? Sources and uses mean whenever you start a business, you definitely need the sources of funding, which means you need money to start your business. There is no way you can have a zero cost and then to run to generate a profit, right? So you need to have the source of financing. It can be line of credit from the bank. It could be a short-term debt from the bank, long-term debts from, or even paid-in capital, which means from your own wallet, so equity. So whoever has this is the very reason you need an accounting major in your group. If you guys remember, in the very first day of the session, when we do the group forming, we need you to have 1 or 2 accounting students in the group, and this is where their talents comes in. So make sure you understand these particular model first: sources and uses. And once you have the sources, then you have to apply the money to the uses, which means you have to purchase the equipment. You have to carve out the cash for working capital. So let's say you have to pay the supplier, pay the vendor, pay the rent, pay the business operating expenses, right? So all these has to be in the working capital. And then of course, like if you have intangibles, then you mark it. If you don't, that's fine. So all these items, the green one and the yellow and the red one, are the ones is fixed. You don't want to change it. If you don't have anything, you put 0. But if you have something, then put in the yellow cell. So how do you use this model? Everything has been set for you. All you need is to change the yellow cell. So you don't need to change anything else. So first of all, of course, I forgot one thing. You are not able to change in this particular worksheet. But the best way for you to do is you do file, and then you do download, and then download as you don't do download. I think that the best way to do is you make a copy to yourself. You make a copy to yourself, and then on that copy you can actually work on that. Don't do download to Excel, because if you download to Excel, everything will turn into every formula here will turn into a number, and it won't work. So make sure you make a copy here, and once you make a copy to your Google Drive, then and then on your Google Drive you will be able to see all the formula, because everything is formula linked. So you can see if I click here, you can see it's a sum, it's a formula right here. You can see $1,500, $1,500 is actually from the addition from here. So everything is formula linked. And this is the reason I told you you just need to change the yellow cell. So first of all, you have to identify what is the sources and uses. And if you don't have this, there's no way for me to even give you credit, because you haven't even thought about where you get the money from and how are you going to apply the money to. And so now you see how question number 3. Once you finish question number 3. Then you know how to answer question number 2, because if you're able to imagine some number or do some sort of financial projections, then you're able to do the projections, and you can write out a lot of things based on the numbers, right? So I'm teaching you, I'm sharing with you some tricks here, and usually it's in reverse. You have to do it from a qualitative side to the quantitative side. So from words to numbers, but not from numbers to words. But hey, you have like what 20 days left, 10 days left. It is better for you to do the reverse, which means that you go from number and then you write out the words. So first of all, sources and uses in part A, and then part B. and the income statements. And then you say, hey, how can I construct the income statement? No, you don't need to do that because everything is done for you. All you need to do is, this is the place where you can find the income statement, and I will tell you like the details. So very, very straightforward income statement, very simple one. That's good enough. And you see there are 5 periods, which means that you can do whatever you want. It can be half a year, it can be 5 periods, can be every half year, it can be every quarter, or it can be annually, 5 years, right? So 5 periods, it is up to you how you're going to lay out the 5 period, how you define that period. It can be, again, can be a quarter, can be a month, quarter, or annual. And then you see the income statement, and then the part C is balance sheet. The balance sheet, it lay out everything, and again, it's a very simple one. Do you need to change anything? No, you don't need to change anything. Everything will flow through. Once you input the assumption in the yellow cell, and then everything will flow through. So there are some assumptions here, and you can see the yellow cell. If you don't want to touch that, that's fine. You can change that, but I highly recommend you to adjust that from the given numbers. Adjust slightly, maybe 1% higher or 1% lower, because you don't want the other groups to use the same numbers, right? So make sure you do some fluctuations to your model, to your business, right? And then the last one is the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement. So again, you can see there's not much yellow cell here because everything it's in formula. It's automatically flow through for you. And then the last one, which is quite important one, the part 5, is the financial ratios analysis. Do you need to construct the entire table? No, every single cell here is a formula, and it flow in the entire model flows through all the numbers. So every single number here is just numbers that works for you. So you don't need to do anything, right? And so this is it. The first page is the heart of the entire model. But where is the brain? The brain is actually in the second tab here, sales and cost of goods sold expenses. So we only have like 2 major assumptions. The first one is the sales and the cost of goods sold, and the next one is the SG&A. And I will explain to you why SG&A is so important, because SG&A is the key to answer your question number 2. All right, so let's start with the sales. So when you have the sales model, which means the top line, the revenues, the one single line, right? I have put in different types of models for you. So there is a price times quantity, right? You tell me how much sales you can make in period number 1. What is the quantity? So let's say think of a coffee shop. How many coffees can you sell in the first period? You can say you can sell 100 coffees in the first period, and then let's say I can sell. Let's do something like this. Watch. Let's say the watch right here, right? I can sell 100 watch in period number 1. So it can be a quarter. It can be half a year. I can sell 100 Rolex in half a year. That will be very good. But let's say if I can sell 100 Casio watch in 1 month, right? And the price for the watch is 100, and I can sell, let's say, 40 quantity. You can see all the numbers flow through because I can have the growth. This is the growth rate right here. The growth at 4%, you can see it's a 4% all the way to the period 6, right? The price, I will increase the price at 4%. Let's say I will increase the quantity at 10%, so you can see how it flows through. And then how come I have like so many different rows here? You can input whatever you want here, because I tell you this is from the physical store. This is from the second one is from the online. The third one is from conference. The fourth one is from show display. Anything you can think of that fits in your business model. Because if you are telling me you're developing a software or you don't have any sales, that's fine. I mean, you can do sales of the software every year, every half month, annual subscription, something like that. You just tweak the model a little bit, but you don't need to change the formula. You just need to change the yellow cell and how you can tell, let's say, the tutor in the paper that you can name it, right? So in here, you can rename it to whatever, and then to get the total cost of goods sold, right? So make sure if you have nothing, then you can put a 0 here or 0.00001 just to make sure it's minimum enough that it won't affect. It will still flow in the model, but it won't affect the overall outcome. So it gives you the sales growth percentage, which is really good. And again, anything you can see here can be copied and pasted as a picture, as an image in your paper as a reference, right? The more references you have, the more solid, the more concrete your evidence have. So which means that you will be able to get a much higher score. Of course, like I hope this will be possible, attainable, achievable. And then once you finish the first one, the sales, and then the cost of goods sold. If you're software developers, of course, that will be 0. But if you are producing some sort of a products, manufacturing something, then it will be all in here. So make sure you cover every single one here. Again, this project is for you to think in details, to think thoroughly. In this case, the more detail you have and you can illustrate, you can display on the paper, the higher the score you can get. I mean, the tutor will not ask you like, they definitely cannot ask you, right? I mean, the tutor cannot, will only judge your performance based on just how many numbers you can produce. If you produce just one number, cost of goods sold, and if that's not reasonable, then he's going to not give you any credit, right? But if you're able to give not just one number, but actually 10 numbers here, with all the raw materials, overhead costs, and blah blah blah, and all the way down, then he has no doubts that you spend time to work on this thing, right? So in this case, it will be much better for you to produce some numbers. But again, as a trick to you, just put in some numbers and let the model flow, and some reasonable number, make the model flow, and you can cut and paste as a picture, and then show that, hey, you think about the manufacturing cost, overhead costs, and with the power, phones, water, and transportation, all these things. Doesn't matter. You can even change the name of this, and it will flow through. And once you put in all these information, then hey, the feeling is, the impression from the tutor is that, hey, you really think about this in detail, right? In that case, a higher score should be rewarded. So this is what I'm suggesting to you. Again, like in this tab, only 2 major assumptions that you need to take care of: the sales and also the cost of goods sold. But these are the 2 most important things. Once you have this, then the second component, which relates to question number 2, is the SG&A, sales, general, and administrative expenses. We break it down. So what is this? The marketing expenses. Let's say you create some sales conferences, you spend some money. Doesn't matter. It can be a very small, it can be very large. It is your call, because you need to advertise your product, your services. Put that in, and then you put in the growth for every period. Once you have this, and again, copy paste in the appendix, show that to your tutor, impress him or her, and that you actually spend effort to analyze this, and you believe this will work. This is how I tell you how to persuade people. If the more details you show, the more it seems like you did more work, right? So make sure you do this, especially if you're in my tutorial group. Definitely, the more detail you have, the more points that you're going to get. Again, reasonable assumption. That is another key. You cannot just throw me everything as 100 and just tell me that it is a 300, right? If this is a reasonable, so that is very important. And then the second one is the general administrative expenses. So you have the rent, utilities, phone, software, blah, blah, blah. Make it your own, and don't make it like too large. Make sure it is a profitable model, which means that your sales and cost of goods sold, which on the previous tab, let's say if your sales is 100, cost of goods sold is 30, you still have $70 left over, right? And then if your SG&A is 200, then that will be a insustainable business. $70 left over, and then you have to pay $200 for the SG&A. That's unsustainable, right? So make sure you have let's say anything less than $70. So let's say $100 for sales, $30 for cost of goods sold, and then you have $70 left, right? $70, maybe $40 spent on SG&A, and then you still have $30 left for the remaining expenses, right? So in this case, that will be achievable, attainable business, sustainable business. That's the key. This is how you sort of manipulate a number. At least you play around with the model. If you send me a model that doesn't have any income in the first 5 years or 5 periods, then forget it. I mean, it's not going to be profitable, and that will be a problem. So make sure you build a business that you can actually start to have some profit at the very beginning. You don't need to be a huge profit, but some profit, and then a profit is slowly growing. That will be reasonable, right? I mean, you cannot tell me that in the first 3 months you're going to make a $10 million, right? I mean, it's impossible. But if you're saying that, hey, the first month is losing money, the second period is actually break even, the third period is going to generate some money, that is actually more reasonable, right? I mean, it will be actually much more in the real world. So make sure you think of something like this. And once you finish this sales and marketing expenses, and then G&A here, and then the next one is the most important part, which is question number 2, because this is about the salary expenses. And in this particular model, you see there are a lot of yellow cells here. Then it depends on your company, how you're going to run your company, how many people you need from this particular table, this headcount table. So this is the numbers that you need to put in yourself, because if you're a software company, you may have hire more IT. If you're a manufacturing company, you may have more workers, production support. So all you need to do is change the numbers here to fit your business, to fit your project. I have some students in last year send me copy paste the exact same thing here. That is not going to work, because he was actually introducing a manufacturing company, and he said he hired like 80% of his entire workforce is from IT. So that is really, really bad. He didn't even think through. So don't just copy paste directly from this model. What I'm telling you is you have to make a reasonable assumption. What kind of company you're getting into, and what type of company you're getting into, what type of business. Do you need a lot of ITs, or do you need a lot of production support? Do you need a lot of accounting or legal? You can see, even with this sample reference model, you can see I am growing the company from 4 people initially all the way to 18 people. And it is not a lot of people. I mean, I'm not going to hit 100 people in 6 years. Of course, I would love to, because it means that my business is growing. But at this point, it is more important for me to start slow and then gradually growing in later periods. So you can see how, and you can imagine why the owner will have to get involved first, and then after the 4th period, and it becomes 0, because it will be replaced by the COO. So you can actually you can see these 2 lines right here. And you can actually write a story, a small paragraph for it, and that's how detailed you can get into. And another thing about this is, let's say number of IT, and initially maybe 1 IT, and then later on maybe 4 ITs at the end. If you're a software company, you may need more people. And the salary weight is another interesting thing. The salary weight, which means that let's say if the owner is 1, and then the CEO maybe 2.5 times the owner's 1, and then production support. So it is whatever you want to adjust. It is totally up to you how you want to pay to hire to recruit the person now, right? And then the base, which is again, the base is per period cost. So let's say if I said $1, is that $1 million, or is that $100? So it is totally up to you. And again, this $1 is lined up with the total sales that I have at the second tab. So if you believe that you're selling $100 Casio watch, and then $40 for, let's say for this is for 1 month, then maybe I can get only like $1 for as a sale. So everything is relative to how much sales you're going to make, right? But again, adjust these numbers, adjust the base, and then there's an inflation increase. Let's say 3% every period. Usually it's actually 1%, 1 to 2%. So it is up to you how you can how you put in the number, how you make the adjustment. Again, once you finish this, and then this table below, the salary expense will calculate everything for you. and then you can calculate total seller expense, yearly sales expenses. Once you have this, oh, by the way, this one is actually monthly expenses. I'm sorry. This one is a monthly expenses. So let's say this is period. So this is period in month, and then this is the year. This is the yearly. I think this is period, and this is period. I don't want to say year. Assume 12 periods equal to 1 year. So this will be times 12, right? So if you want to adjust a little bit, it is up to you. And again, so this is how the model will work, right? Once you finish the SG&A thing about these items, then basically it's done. And then you can for the last part will be once you finish the income statement, because you finish all these lines, you finish the let's say the operating expenses, you make it 10%, 15%, doesn't matter, and then just make 1%. Again, it doesn't really matter. And then a 25% tax rate, and then you get the net income. So make sure your net income is actually positive and growing gradually. Once you finish this, and then the last two things that you need to take care of is the accounts receivable and accounts payable. Again, I mark it as 10%. Do you need to change it? Change it slightly, 12%, 15%, 8%, 5%, that's fine. But change it so that you don't make it to the same number to the other groups, right? So adjust these two numbers. Once you finish the balance sheet is actually automatically flow. So you say, hey, do I need to balance the balance sheet? The answer is no, you don't need to do it, because I balance the financial model balanced the entire balance sheet already automatically. So you can see the total liability is 4168 here, and this one is also 4168, and towards the end is 17,000, and this one's 17,000. So balance sheet checking, all periods are okay. So this will automatically balance for you. This is a very nice model. And then the last one is let's say general assumption, total debt. You don't need to do this, and then but again, you can change it slightly because it's inventory preparation, PPE, depreciation, and all these things. Change it slightly. It shouldn't affect the that much. Again, this one is the interest rate. You can adjust that. Some people borrow at 15%, some people borrow at 10%, but never go lower than 10%, because as an individual investor, you probably incur some high interest expense if you borrow from the banks, right? So make it anything about 10%. And then for the inventory preparation, change it slightly. I mean, it doesn't matter much. So once you finish all these income statement assumption, balance sheet assumption, cash flow statement, it's a direct flow through. You can see how much cash flow you generate, and then everything below here will flow through. So if you are able to grab the accounting major from your team to work on this, once they finish working on the sales number, the cost of goods sold number, and then the next one is the expenses number, and more important is the salary number, and then the next step is to fit in the balance sheet, and then everything will work. So this will be much better if you follow the financial model. Let me tell you this. I have seen a lot of students from other groups for assignment number 2. They don't have any financial modeling background, and they don't submit any financials. Those will get you a lower score. But let me tell you this: if you are able to submit a financial model, financial budgeting with these worksheet, I can well, at least for my group, I can assign you a much higher grade because hey, you show me whatever you have, right? I can guarantee you that you can get above average at least. So make sure you try to spend some time in this financial model, and then it can help you to answer question number 2 and also question number 3. Because question number 3, if I flip back, once you finish the model, basically you just turn everything that you put in, the assumptions, into words. So we work it backward. why do you make that assumption? What is your sales growth? What is the cost growth? The expenses growth? And what is the free cash flow? What is the financial ratios? How, and persuade me why this business is going to be a successful business, and why it is a sustainable business. How you can project that. The more details, again, the more details you can show, the better persuasiveness, right? So this will help you to answer question number 3, and definitely question number 2 in terms of the human resources and also the financial resources, right? The sources and uses. That the sources and uses will help you to answer question number 2, last part, and then the PPE will be also a question 2B. Question 2A will be the salary expenses, what kind of headcounts you're going to project, and you can write a story on that, and that will give you the sufficient credits, sufficient proof. And then question number 3 will be all the coverage completeness, financial feasibility, return, and risks. You can show everything from this model, right? So once you finish the question number 2 and question number 3, then well, I assume that question number 1 shouldn't be a problem, because again, the key is to show me the techniques, the methods, how to resolve previous weakness, previous problem, previous issues. And then for question number 4 is just a legal situation. So question number 3 is done, and question number 4, it's about the legal requirements. So if you are telling me you start with a restaurant, right? Then you have to concern about the hygiene issue, because you have to file a lot of license, you get a lot of certificates from the health department, from the business registry. So all these will have to be very, very well considered. So make sure, because I remember in my group I have tell every one of you all the specific license, not specific license, but what kind of requirements you need from the legal perspective. So make sure you cover the regulations part in terms of your business, right? So this part should not be that hard, because all you need to do is type out your business, your industry type. So let's say if you are start to open up a restaurant, type on the requirements to open a restaurant in Hong Kong. Then you get a list of let's say the legal framework, what kind of license you need to get, and do a copy paste. And again, copy and rephrase. Don't because right now, as I told you, MU has a system to check every single line, every single word that you submit. And if you have a high correlation with the outside resources, then we'll consider you as a plagiarism. So and make sure you don't do that. Copy and rephrase, right? So the licensing requirements should be very, very straightforward. And so I hope you guys will have no questions here. So question 1 to 4. And again, as I said earlier, division of labor, divide and conquer. So divide your group into different subparts. So discuss all sessions as a group, and then put bullet points as a group, and then expand bullet point into as an individuals, and then combine all sessions. So these are the my suggestion, because you only have like maybe two weeks or so left. So make sure you do this. Discuss as a group about each session, and then put down some bullet points, and then for the individuals, you expand each bullet points, and then see how it goes, right? And so this is the suggested. Again, it's a suggested job list. In question number 1, the business model. What kind of model you're applying, and how that model and why that model works. Your business development. Again, like to answer the questions, how you resolve the current issue. In the human capital, who are you going to hire, and what kind of resources you can provide. And then question number 2 here, financial and physical capital. And again, what kind of capital we're talking about? A machine, or is that a software, or is that what kind of equipment or property you need to acquire, a land or a building. And then the next one is the financials. Are you borrowing from someone, or are you chipping in from your own investment? And then the budgeting coverage, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, ratios. what kind of financials are we expecting, and then risk and returns, what kind of ratios you can see here. Legal concerns, resolving legal issues. So what kind of legal concerns is that? Search from the internet, and then try to see what kind of license or certificates you need to get, and then how are you going to get it. So the last one, how are you going to get it? Resolve the legal issues. So these are the 4 questions you need to answer in your project for assignment number 2. Again, it is due on January 10th. Unfortunately, it is no later than that. This is the requirement from the lecturer, from Kevin. So we have to stick to the deadline. So time, you definitely to start your project as soon as possible if you have not seen my video clip yet. But I encourage you to spend some time in this particular financial model, because once you finish this financial model, then you will be able to resolve this question number 2 and question number 3 right away. So that's 50% of the entire on the entire paper, and then you just put the numbers in back to words, right? So that should be very, very straightforward. So question number 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So that will be it. And if you have any questions, the best way to reach me is to send me an email, and we can actually conduct some let's say small group discussions in Zoom if I'm not available. I know you guys may not be even on campus, but we can actually do Zoom recording if that's necessary. All right. So I hope you guys will have a good start and work on this particular model. And let me know if you have any questions. Again, you can. The best way is not post any questions on the YouTube, because I don't check YouTube that much, but send me an email directly. But if you want to do that, post comments on the YouTube, feel free to do so. I'll track it from time to time, but we don't have much time left. Anyway, I think that will be it, and I hope I will see a good paper from your group soon. All right, thank you very much. Bye.